Before you say yes to one more thing over the next 2 months, I want you to pause with me for a minute today. What if this year looked different? What if instead of running on empty, you actually had room to breathe? Maybe to laugh and to feel God's peace settle over you once again. Today I'm going to share 3 truths with you that can completely shift the way you move through this season. Today is part of a series that I have created on how to have peace for the holidays. I'm going to help you learn how to release the guilt that shows up every time you try to set a new boundary. I'm going to help you discover how to protect your peace when the pressure starts to close in. And last but not least, I'm going to give you the most important truth about how to manage these next couple of months as we come to the close of the year 2025. This is your reminder. You don't have to do it all this year. And you don't have to keep saying yes when your heart says no. If you're grieving the death of your child and you want the steps that lead to believing with confidence that life is still worth living, then you're in the right place. Hello, I'm Teresa, a grief mentor. That's been where you are. And I teach grieving moms like you how to navigate life after child loss. If you're ready to take a step of courage and build a solid foundation to live with hope and purpose, then I'm here to teach you how. Are you ready for what God has for you? Then I'm ready to teach you. We all know what it feels like as a grieving mom and dad when the calendar starts to turn to October and then November, and then we blink and it's January. It doesn't matter how far you are in your grief journey. We all feel that angst of another holiday without our child. And friend, if this is your first, this is a very important lesson for you. So I want you to make sure that you stay tuned. Find a place where you can settle in and really listen, and maybe listen to it more than once. Because if I would have had the information that I'm sharing with you right now, it would have changed my life in a miraculous way. However, we know that in God's timing, He creates what He intends for it to be. Because I struggled, I'm now in a seat where I can get a little bit ahead of you to give you some knowledge and some skills to be able to face the next few months without the fear and the angst and the guilt that we all feel this time of year. So we're going to get right into this. We're going to hit 3 very important points today. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you about the holiday sale that is going on right now for the Grief Mentor sessions. If your heart feels heavy and you're longing for peace in the middle of all of it, I'm offering that one-on-one grief mentor session at a discounted price now through the end of the month. I want you to be able to walk away with a clear plan for what you are facing right now. And then as a bonus in your post-session notes, you'll receive a document that I've created called Peace for the Holidays, a simple plan for grieving moms, so that you can have a way to be able to create a plan that's going to implement what I'm teaching you today. To access that discount, you can go to my show notes. Okay, you're not going to find it on my website, but you will find it in my show notes here, linked to the podcast, or if you're a Grief Mentor Insider, you will find it in your email today. Point number 1, the boundary of guilt. Let's start there, because it's usually the first thing that shows up when we start to even think about saying no. There's pressure everywhere this time of year. Not only are you managing your grief, there's family gatherings, traditions to manage, people who mean well but don't really fully understand. And your heart is caught between wanting to love them and realizing that you don't have the energy that you once did. Saying no feels wrong, like you're letting people down. But friend, what I want to teach you today through these 3 points is that peace isn't about doing everything. It's about choosing what keeps your heart close to Jesus. When we say yes out of guilt, we slowly drain the peace right out of us that we so desperately need. Jesus gives us an invitation. And this is what his invitation is. Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Oh, friend, does that sound unreachable? Stick with me. You are not being selfish for protecting your peace. In fact, you're being wise. Jesus never said yes to everything. Every yes you give to others when inside you really mean no, you're taking away peace from inside your own heart and mind. Let's use Jesus as an example. He said yes to the Father, and that's what kept his peace. So maybe this year, let go of the guilt that tells you are supposed to somehow do everything the way you've always done it, especially when you have people in your life that want you to keep everything the way it used to be for their sake. Without even realizing it, they're putting their expectations on you. So maybe this year, you let go of the guilt that tells you you are supposed to do it all. Point number 2, the boundary of overload. Just the sound of that resonates, does it not? When your calendar starts to fill faster than your heart can keep up, it's a sign, friend, to slow down. It's already happening to me. November's already full, and December is filling up quickly. But this is what I want you to understand. You are not the same person that you were before your loss. Grief shifts your capacity, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And sometimes we don't really realize how much until we find ourselves in a place where we've committed out of guilt, and then it hits us like a wall. And if you try to keep moving at the same pace that you once did, friend, you're going to burn out so quick before you ever even reach the end of the year at Christmas. This is where wisdom comes in, because boundaries are not walls. They are wisdom. They don't limit love. They protect it. Think of it like a garden fence. It's not there to keep life from growing. It's there to protect what's inside so life can flourish. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Proverbs 4:23. You can love deeply and still choose to do less. Let this be the year that you decide to protect your energy so that the moments that you do say yes are filled with your presence, not pressure. Let me give you an example. Let's say you decide to commit to doing everything for your family, whatever your most significant holiday is. Some people that's Thanksgiving, some people that's Christmas, some people that's New Year's. But let's say you commit to being the same person that you've always been. But when that day comes, the stress of it, with the elephant in the room, that the one you love is not there with you, begins to magnify. And before you know it, you are hunkered down into that survival mode, and you are not going to enjoy 1 minute of it. And you can sit down and try to have a conversation with the person across the table from you, but your mind is anywhere but in that conversation. How do you think I know what I'm talking about, friend? Yeah, I've been there. Here's a few phrases that you can lean on this season. I'd love to, but I don't have the emotional space to be able to do that this year. Or I need to honor my healing right now. Those aren't excuses. They're just boundaries of love. And you can take those statements and you can make them yours, but it will help the people that you do life with understand. Because when you give yourself permission to rest, you are inviting in peace. Somehow we've convinced ourselves the more we do, the more peace we'll have. But friend, that is simply not the truth. We have moved away from the example that we have been given. I'd like to share something with you that kind of illustrates this point. Recently, I was presented with an opportunity, and it was a very good opportunity, something that could help me advance the cause that I am working toward as a grief mentor. But it came right here at the end of the year. I had to weigh that out because it was going to be a costly commitment, not only of my time, but my energy, my emotional bandwidth. And so I took it to my prayer warrior husband in prayer, and we prayed about it. And I took it to my coach, my mentor, that helps me navigate not only the grief mentor side of things, but also the emotional side of things for me. She's taught me so much. I value her, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But when I had to sit down and think about this opportunity, my mind started going to the place, well, if I turn this down, I'm never going to have this opportunity again. And I'm shutting a door here that probably is never going to reopen. And that's the way I was looking at it. And when I sat down and evaluated, I sat down with my husband and we discussed it. And then I sat down with my coach and we discussed it. And then I took it to the Lord again in prayer. And I'm like, what is your opinion about this, Lord? Will you help me walk through this with your eyes and not mine? And what he showed me was, this is not the right time for me to do this. When I weighed it all out, because those of you that have been with me a while know that November is Andrew's Heaven Day. And I don't have to explain to you what that's like. Going into that season is heavy. And then we've got just all the holidays, right? Boom, 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 boom. So I made a decision to shut that door. And I did have a peace about it because I felt like I'd made the right decision. But when I sent that email, I had a little angst. But what came back, friend, was not what I expected at all. Not only did she compliment me on my ability to use boundaries in my life for my own mental, spiritual, physical health, she opened the door for an opportunity down the road. Friend, that's how God works, right? In my mind, I had said, when I shut this door, it's shut forever. There's not going to be a second chance. But when I was true to what the Holy Spirit was telling me, Teresa, this is going to rob your peace. This is going to emotionally drain you. This is going to prevent you to be what you need to be for the people that I have brought to you to serve. That's what I heard. And when I shut that door, it really opened the door. Is that just not God? And I want to teach you because I mentioned my coach, and she's a systems coach. She teaches students like me how to have systems to be able to do what I do. Because it's a lot, and I'm solo. I don't have a team. I'm praying about that. I don't know where the Lord's leading that. I'm just, that's his problem, not mine. Right now, I'm just doing what he's calling me to do. But it's a lot. And she has taught me so much. And she also has an arm of her business that she teaches home management as well. And what I realized was it was hard for me to get in a space to work when outside of my office door, my house was not the way I wanted it to be. Whether it was unorganized or it was dirty or the laundry was piling up to do or the to-do list outside my office door was bearing on me inside of my office, preventing me from being able to reach that place that I need to be in to create the content that I need to create for you, to be the mentor that I need to be for the ones that the Holy Spirit has brought to me. So what I first had to do was to institute the systems that she taught me for my home. Her name is Chelsea Jo Moore. You can find her on Instagram. She is a blessing to me in so many ways, and she is a Jesus lover because you guys know I use the same test for me that I suggest for you. Nobody gets to speak into me in my life without passing that test of loving Jesus the way I do. So she taught me so much. And once I got her systems in place for my home, it opened up a whole new door for me to be able to have a sense of peace so that I could then come in my office and sit down and build out those systems and then use those systems to be able to serve you well. Peace then became a part of my life. And what I've realized, friend, through my journey of not only my loss, but walking on this road with you, is that if I do not have things in place that protect my peace, like boundaries, I'm going to fail. You may not be in the position that I am as a mentor, but you have people in your life that God has called you to serve. What does that look like for you right now? Friend, having wisdom to know when to say no is following Jesus's example. We're going to get into that in just a minute. The next point I want to bring up is the boundary of distraction. What does that mean? Well, the holidays can pull us in 100 different directions, even with the best intentions. We can get caught up in the to-do list and the plans and all of the noise that never stops until we realize that we're completely exhausted. Our minds are busy, but our hearts are far from peace. Remain in me, and I'll remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. John 15:4. Friend, that's the invitation. The boundary of distraction says I'm going to make a commitment that I'm not going to be pulled away from what I know fills my cup. Stay close. Stay connected. Stay rooted in your anchor. When we say no to distraction, we say yes to intimacy. We cannot come to a place where we can sit in His presence and be able to reflect and hear His voice if all we have going on is noise in our heads and our hearts and our minds are drifting because we're thinking about what we have to do next. In order for God to restore our soul, we have to do what it tells us in Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is where peace is born, friend. And sometimes your no is the holiest yes you can give. So ask yourself, what's one thing you can release this season to make room for peace? Boundaries that protect your peace also protect your ability to be intimate with Him. And friend, that is where healing begins. Saying no doesn't mean you're disappointing others. It means you're trusting God with your limits. How many times have you heard me say, we are not limitless human beings? This week, I want you to practice. Maybe you've never told anybody that you love no. Well, I'd like for you to practice that this week. And then I want you to notice the peace that follows. I want you to know the ability to take a deep breath and how that feels. Notice the quiet where you spend some time with Jesus and the difference that looks like when you're not distracted, when you're not overloaded, when you are not saying yes to everything that comes through the door. You see, we walk this fine line, don't we, in our grief journeys? We hear people say, oh, don't isolate, don't isolate. Well, the first several months after our child dies, we do kind of live in a cocoon because we're trying to protect ourselves from what's on the other side because of what we've been through. But as we begin to venture out past that safe place that we've encountered, it can create a lot of anxiety. And then, like I said in the beginning, if this is your very first holiday season, friend, it's about survival. Go to my show notes and let's talk about this. Make your appointment and let's sit down and talk about what this season looks like for you. But maybe you're a little further out like me you're a few years down the road, and expectations from people in your inner circle are like, well, it's been 2 years. It's time. That kind of verbiage, friend, I'm giving you permission to pull back, use the pause, okay? Pull back and look at that and evaluate what your needs are. Because the only person that you're 100% accountable to is your Lord and Savior. You're not withdrawing. You're making space for God to comfort you, okay? That's the kind of peace your soul is longing for. Make this year different. Take these 3 truths that I've given you today. Take some time. Think about it. Listen to this episode again. Figure out where you fall in this scenario. And then make a plan of what you're going to do for the rest of the year. And if you need some help with that, you know where to find me. I want to leave you with this today. Nobody understands our weakness like the person who created us. We tend to wear the cloak of strong because, for many reasons, that's a whole nother episode. But if you're wearing the cloak of strong because of others' expectations of you, I'm asking you to take that cloak off today. I'm asking you to be true to yourself. I'm asking you to seriously look at what you're capable of and what you are not. Because, friend, I promise you, if you ignore what I'm teaching you today, you will be robbed of your peace in this season. You got enough on your plate right now, managing, getting through this time without the one you love. Learning how to say no when it's appropriate for you is a skill that has to be practiced. I encourage you to practice that this week. You might be surprised of the peace that comes once you're able to actually do it. And that's all I have for you today. So until next time, take care.